right, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Toon podcast. We are the biggest, best, and only Newcastle United podcast in the Southern Hemisphere. I've got a jam-packed show coming your way today, and I am joined by Keegan. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm Kenny. We've got a lot to get through on this one, but just give a bit of a rundown of what we're going to be getting. We've got the fixture list has obviously been released. That's going to be a huge talking point for the next few days. Some key fixtures which we'll talk about. Some young lads have just signed a new contract or a new extension as part of the club. Paul Mitchell's finally gone, apparently. And then we've got some big ins and outs that are happening with the club, if you believe what you read on social media. But that's what's coming up. But we're going to start off with the fixtures, which were literally announced, an hour and a half ago, something like that, as we jumped on to do the recording. And in terms of fixtures go, Keegan, it's not an easy start for her, is it?
No. Unfortunately, we're going to play everyone home and away as well, which is not good. I think our request to get more home games has fallen on deaf ears. But yeah, the first six are pretty tough. I haven't obviously seen everyone else's fixtures, but yeah, what do we got? Villa away, Liverpool at home, Leeds away will be tricky. They'll still be up and about from getting promoted as well. Tough place to go. I think we drew there 2 seasons ago when they were in the league, because I'm pretty sure me and Dimmy were at the Sherlock Holmes watching it. And then I think, didn't a lunatic ran on the ground and confronted Eddie Howe, didn't he?
That was that game. Got a lifetime ban for that.
Yeah. Wolves at home should be okay. Bournemouth away, we've never won, and Arsenal at home too. So, yeah, you could pretty much, looking at it on paper, you could maybe bank the Wolves game as 3 points, and then, yeah, the rest are kind of up in the air. So hopefully, I'm sure the club would have been briefed on this before it got released an hour and a half ago, but hopefully that might sting them into a bit more urgency in the transfer market, knowing the teams we've got first up, and if we're going to get our players, then we probably need them sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and a key one for Aston Villa now, our record at Villa Park over the last couple of years hasn't been great. We got absolutely annihilated there towards the back end of the season, just gone 4-1. It's not a happy stomping ground, but to go there, opening game of the season, and potentially the Villa squad could be weakened, let's say, because they have some well-documented PSR struggles. Who knows what state that squad will be in come August the 16th. Would you prefer to face Villa and Liverpool this early on in the season, or would you rather wait mid or towards the end? Or are you not bothered at all?
Oh, it's not, look, not last season before. We beat them 3-0 there, if you remember. So
yeah, we did.
It's not that bad, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see their movement, especially over the next 2 weeks, if they need to make a move before the financial year deadline to make sure they comply with their PSR. And even if they are in trouble and they do need to sell one way or the other, it'd be interesting to see, given the transfer window is still open at the start of the season, if they can get any bodies in before our game. So maybe, who knows, it might be a blessing that we do get them early, because they might not have their fully settled squad yet, and there still might be some positions they haven't filled from selling. So it might be a good time. Liverpool at home is probably never a good time. They've done a bit of business early, so they'll be hitting the ground running, especially with some of the players that Man City have signed as well. So that they'll be probably trying to keep up or keep in front of them. So, yeah, the first couple are going to be really, really tricky.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds, as you mentioned before, due to promotion, they're going to be up for it. I really don't like the idea of facing newly promoted teams early on, because they've still got that high, as you mentioned.
Yeah, like Southampton weren't too bad that first game this year against them, and then they were absolutely awful for the rest of the season. So,
shit.
Yeah.
Wolves, they've been a bit of a basket case last season, albeit they came very good after a very sluggish start for them. Bournemouth away, who knows what type of performance we're putting down there. It is clearly our bogey team as of late. And Arsenal at home, we've had them on toast for the past couple of seasons and there. So the opening 6 fixtures, a couple of hit and miss. But yeah, I think we can get off to a decent start. I'm not expecting miracles, but if we can get, what's that going to be, 18 points out of those 6, I reckon 10 to 12, that would be a solid start from those opening 6 fixtures. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. And if we can hang in there for the first couple of months, albeit it's only 6 games, I think there's an international break or 2 in that as well. The fixtures do open up in December and January for us, I think. So if we can sort of get off to an okay start, it doesn't have to be a rollicking start, but if we can just not drop that many points and get too far behind the 8 ball from the start, I reckon we can really sort of pick up. It's like kind of like we did this year during that kind of November, December, January period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be canny to go on a decent run at some point where we just get big dog. I think we just got 8 or 9 goals in a row, something like it. If we can get that type of form going, then we will be unstoppable, as we've already proven. But yeah, there's another 2 fixtures that everyone's pretty keen on. The first time of the return of the derby in the Premier League. Obviously, we had them in the FA Cup. Or was it not last season gone? We smashed them 3-0 at their place. So the first 2, we've got them at December 13th away. That's at their place. And then at home on March the 21st. And given the time zone difference, if that's at 3 o'clock, that's going to fall on the 22nd, which is actually my birthday. So,
you're kidding.
If we can smash those lot on my birthday at home, and potentially they've only got 4 games left after that, we could even send those down if they have anything like a season Southampton had, or even worse, That would be the icing on the cake and the best birthday present I could ever wish for. I would love that to happen. That'd be absolutely superb. But the derbies are back. I wasn't overly that fussed on the derbies, to be honest, for them coming back up. I really wanted them to stay down in the Championship and let them rot as far as I'm concerned. What's your thoughts on them coming back up? Are you glad? Would you want to see them rot, or what's your focus on them?
I'd prefer to laugh at them, yeah. and them being in the same division, probably it turns that into a bit more of a, not a 50-50, maybe a 80-20 chance that they might laugh at us now. So it is always, and it's probably, we're a little bit removed now, I suppose, on the other side of the world, so we don't get the hate, and like, I don't really know any Sunderland supporters in Australia, mate. So if the unthinkable did happen, we wouldn't hear about it on a daily basis anyway. I'm sure we can scroll on through social media or whatever, and not that anyone bloody follows Sunderland accounts. So I think maybe if you want to call it the greater good in the region, maybe it's good to have them in the Premier League, and perhaps Middlesbrough to a lesser extent as well, and things like that. But having said that, I think post-takeover, I think the team, at least our team, has re-energised the city in a way. And I remember when the last time I was there, we were in the Championship still, I think. And even then, people still wore all their Newcastle gear. I will never forget it. Just walked around the city, and every second or third person had a Newcastle, some item of Newcastle on, whether it like a shirt or a beanie, polo, jacket, whatever it was, that they had it on. And I know that kind of just fell away because of the way the team was run, and a lot of people lost interest, which was fair enough. But now it seems like, from you read on Twitter, like every second person's back wearing the kit again, whether it's a shirt, jumpers, polos, beanies, jackets, whatever it may be. Everyone's back wearing it again. So I definitely think the takeover has revitalised at least our side of the river. Now, hopefully, with them coming back in the Premier League, it might light a bit of a fuse. They might get more than 70% of their stadium full this season.
It's figures were out in, let's just say, the Nissan shift workers were hard at work during the last campaign for them. Not barely even anywhere close to being full, whereas St. James's Park was the highest capacity stadium of the entire football pyramid at the 92 teams. So well done. That's something that we can be proud of, unlike those seagull shaggers 12 miles away. But now we're going to move on from the fixtures now, because again, we've got a lot of cramming. And now, Paul Mitchell, obviously, it was announced a good while ago now that he was going to step down towards the end of the month. And there's mixed reports that he's either already gone and duties have been handed over to Eddie's nephew and Steve Nixon or Paul Nixon. I can never remember.
No, Steve Nixon.
Steve Nixon. Yeah, well, there's that many Steve.
You said Steve, mate. You would have been right.
But so duties have been handed over to those. And he's already gone, but other reports say he's still hanging around the club, but he's just took a step back for now. He's not going to be remembered with any fond memories or anything like that. He literally came in, signed a few youngsters. We got in Asula. It was actually really well at the championships right now.
Yeah, he is.
And that's pretty much about it. His legacy is not going to be one remembered well on Tyneside, you reckon?
Well, yeah, he'd be remembered for failing to sign Mark Gahey. He'd be remembered for telling everyone how bad their transfer business was prior to his arrival. Not getting on with Eddie Howe from the start, and that's pretty much it. I reckon that's pretty much all he's ticked off. Yeah, it wasn't, and we got no idea what the day-to-day workings are of the club and what he actually does on the whole, but from what we know and what we can see, things haven't really changed from before he came.
Yeah.
So that maybe it was a slow burn, but it seemed it got off to a bad start publicly as well.
Mm-hmm.
And no doubt it would have been worse privately.
Yeah.
And it never really seemed like it was working, did it? And I think something's obviously happened behind the scenes for him to do it. Now, for me, the sensible thing would be to appoint Steve Nixon in that role. For a numerous reasons. Eddie's got a great relationship with him. Yeah. He knows the club. He knows the sort of transfer model they want to go down. And it just seems like a really logical thing just to bring him in. Everything stays the same. There's no stepping on anyone's toes because everyone already knows how each other work. Andy Howe, Eddie's nephew, who I believe is pretty highly regarded at what he does as well, he can step up, and then you kind of, hopefully everyone just kind of steps up and they end up replacing someone down the bottom, like a new scout or something like that. To me, that would be the logical thing. I still think without the CEO, though, that's probably going to be hard to do. I'd expect once Darren Eales sort of departs and they fill that role, then I think we'll probably see movement on a few other things, especially this director of football or sporting director, whatever the title is going to be. The stadium thing as well, still in the background, which people are starting to, what's going on with that. I think it's hard without a CEO to actually commit to anything. And I don't think it's fair for Darren Eales to sign off on it and leave in whenever he's going to leave in the next few months. And someone else comes in for the long term and it's had no say in any of this. So yeah, the sort of CEO's the first thing they've got to sort out, and I reckon the rest will fall into place. And I honestly don't think it'd be that much disruption to the transfer window. I'm sure Steve Nixon can act as a negotiator, or they might even bring a consultant in to do the negotiating or whatever it is. I don't think they'll have their targets. They'll have whoever they need, whoever they want lined up, and then all the work's already been done, Craig. It's just a matter of sort of starting to contact clubs, agents, whatever it may be, to get the ball rolling on these deals.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo those thoughts as well. It's just a case of playing the waiting game and see what the future holds in those two positions. But all faith in Nixon and how to get these deals done. And hopefully they'll get them done soon. And just before we do talk about the transfers for both in and out of the club, three of the youngsters have just signed new deals. You've got Sean Neve, striker, right back Leo Shaha, I think that's how it's pronounced, and left winger Trevan Sanusi. It's key for the progress of the club, both financially and in terms of PSR, for stuff like that we get these players signed up to not necessarily long-term deals, but deals where we can either move them on in terms of profit for the club, because we've only bought them for next to nothing effectively, or they can become top players and prevent us from having to go out and spend 20, 30, 40, 50 million pounds on new players in these positions.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not that too, mate. You got to think as well, like they want to build the club from the ground up, and our academy's been neglected for far too long by someone who obviously didn't really know how to run a club. And if you understood that, hey, if you actually invest a bit of time into the youngsters, that saves you spending money at the top end. I don't think he quite understood that. But now the club's taking some serious steps to rebuild, and I think all the pillars and coaches and pathways are in place. So I think when you're still trying to sign this young talent, you do need like a pathway for them, and you've got to give them something to this is the way to do it. Like, so the fact that I think Sanusi played, you might have made a couple of cameo appearances in some cup games last season.
Yeah, you know.
I know Neve was on the bench for the League Cup final as well. So you've got to sell hope. Yeah. So you've got to sell hope to these young kids that there is opportunities there if you're good enough. So you can't just sign them up and sell them, because the pool will empty pretty quick, because no one will want to come to your club knowing that you're only getting bought for selling or PSR purposes. So you've got to sell hope that, yeah, look, hey, if you do the right things, there are going to be opportunities in the first team. Lewis Smiley is a good example of that.
Yeah,
that's the most recent example. So yeah, at the same time, you kind of got to have it both ways. You've got to sell hope that we want you to play your whole career at this club, but you got to say, look, if things don't work out, we need the ability to make a bit of money on you as well.
Yeah, their careers are just getting started. Hopefully, they can all make an impact on the first team in the not too distant future. Apparently, the biggest name out of three of them is Sean Neve. Strikers always are a high demand and have a high value as well. So if we can get him and he starts scoring goals, who knows? He could potentially even be our number 3 striker for the season if the club back him that well. And we've got a Sula at number 2 and then Big Dog at number 1. Leo, he's coming on leaps and bounds both physically and his overall game development. I watched a little interview with him on the Newcastle YouTube channel. He seems as though he's got his head screwed on, so that's good to see. And Trevor and Sanusi, again, we had glimpses of him, like I said. Interesting to see how his career goes, because he looked like the young version of St. Maximan and the times that we have seen him.
Bit, yeah.
But you never know. He could develop, and if he's got Eddie as his coach, I've got all faith in 3 of those coming through to the first team and getting some appearances maybe before this new season is out, and just for anything, boosting up their value and also their experience. But now, we're going to move on to the transfers. The transfer window was open. It's shut. It's now open again in what we have now confirmed has been the silly season. It's absolutely crazy why the window has done that. We all know why, for the Club World Cup, which is, at some parts, been a bit of a farce in terms of attendances and stuff like that. But there's been some decent games, I suppose. But players coming in. One name that is linked to us again and again and again is Joao Pedro. Now, when I spoke to Jack about this player last week, I said I was on the fence about this player because of his attitude, his commitment to the club, that sort of thing. What's your thoughts on Pedro?
Well, they clearly like him because they've had a nibble at him before. So before he chose Brighton, I think old Fabrizio gave it the here we go that he was locked and loaded, and it never happened. But it was kind of weird, that little transfer entree, wasn't it? And then nothing really happened. It helped the clubs who had the Club World Cup, but that was pretty much it. But for Pedro, like I said, there's a clear interest in him because they've had a nibble at him before. I understand your concerns about his attitude. He did have some moments last season with Brighton that were head scratching, is probably one way to put it. At the same time, you've got to remember that the same concerns were about Anthony Gordon before he joined us as well.
That's true. I'll give you that one now.
So they obviously see something in him. They've clearly done plenty of due diligence on him. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the interest there to start with. And the price tag might be a bit much, but is it? Like, you 60 million, you're getting, you know what you're getting. You're getting Premier League proven. I know he's a Brazilian international, but he spent plenty of time in the country, so he's acclimatized. All that, like, it's a known quantity, and like you said earlier, mate, if anyone can get the best out of a player, it's Eddie Howe. So if they think, I'd be surprised if 60 million was the figure. It might end up being that with, you know, bonuses and add-ons and all that. Hopefully it's somewhere around 50, and then, you know, if he's as good as what Brighton think he is, then he hits these clauses and bonuses, and Brighton end up getting their 60 anyway.
Would he be a player that would excite you, or would it be a case of, I want to see him a bit more game time, see him knuckle down in the squad, and see what happens of him then? But if he was to sign on the dotted line now, and the club want to make that announcement, would it be a player who go, wow, we've signed a cracking player, I cannot wait to get him started? Or you'd wait and see how he develops?
No, mate, I don't think that about anyone.
No.
My knowledge of players outside of England is very limited. I'd never heard of Bruno. I'd never heard of Tonali. I'd never heard of Botman. I'd never heard of Alexander Isak before they joined us as well. So I'm not getting up in the middle of the night. I hate doing it for our games, never mind a Brighton game. So I don't really know that much about him. I've seen clips on YouTube when he threw that bloody flying elbow that missed, and I think he didn't get in a bit of an altercation with one of his teammates last season as well, I think.
He did, and that's who we're going to get on the next as well.
Yeah. I remember seeing a bit of the Boya Kieran Dyer comparisons when that happened. So I know who he is, but I've got no idea what he plays for. And like people in the UK and Europe who get to watch these games at reasonable times will know a lot more than me about what sort of player he is and if he's get excited or not. But he does fit the mold, I guess, of young with the potential to do it. And that's why I was still really surprised about the links to Mbeumo, because he was a bit older than what all of other signings have been, apart from Trippier and Byrne, but they were cheap in the scheme of things, and Wood and Target were more of a needs basis at the time rather than a look to the future. Like they were kind of brought to help us stay in the division, really, not so much to sort of get us in the Champions League and win trophies and things like that. But Pedro I think he's early 20s. He's sort of young, proven. So he does fit the sort of prototype of players they've been recruiting. Young, proven, and with the potential to make more money with a sale. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But they've shown in the past that they're not going to just be taking the piss out of. If they're not happy with the price, they'll just walk away and go and find someone else to buy.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Like I say, I'm hesitant on this one. I don't know, but we've said it time and time again, in Eddie we trust, and I will always keep that faith. And if he does bring him in, and we've said again a few times on this podcast already, Eddie can and probably will get the best out of him, and we'll see what happens. But I just hope he's not one of these players going to come in with his ego, and Eddie's got to set Joelinton or Jamal Lascelles on him, give him a straightener like he did with Mo Diame in that championship season, and, you know, put him in his place. We'll see what happens with that one. It could be a fantastic signing. It might not come off at all. Who knows? This could all be smoke and mirrors, and somebody else could be lined up to take his place. The club has been known to do that before. The next player,
Tonali, wasn't it?
It did, yeah. It was Barella who we originally linked with.
Barella, that's it. I kept thinking Barnetta, but I'm still having flashbacks about Barnetta.
That's soft as well. He's there somewhere. But so the club, they've got a history of sneaking players in under the radar. Big Dog was another one that happened before everyone knew it even done. But next player is his Brighton counterpart, and that is Jan-Paul Van Hecke, or Van Hecke, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. This player's got a little bit of history with both Joao Pedro in terms of having a bit of a tussle towards the end of the season, and also with Anthony Gordon, because it was Gordon who got sent off when they had a little scuffle with Van Hecke in the FA Cup match earlier on in the season when they dumped us out of that competition. 25 years old. I believe he's a Dutch international. So if he was to come in, you'd be looking at an old Dutch centre-back. And his stats and statistics look like he would be the perfect fit for a long-term replacement for Fabian Schär. Ball-playing centre-back is something that we're probably going to need moving on this season and going into next, because Schär, as good as he is, his body will start slowing down. And those concussions he gets every single game will slowly catch up with him as well. But your thoughts on Van Hecke? Same as Pedro, you're a little bit in the unknown?
Yeah, I remember him because he reminded me of Milky from Me, Myself, and Irene. That's how I remember the name. But yeah, in terms of what he plays like, I've watched him twice this year, but I don't remember. I know who he is, but I don't remember if he was any good or anything like that. So yeah, would that be a bit underwhelming for if you want a sort of marquee centre-back pairing?
I think the type we need is that ball-playing centre-back. We've got Botman for the strength and the physical cover, but that ball-playing one is something we desperately need. Charles, 32, coming on 33, maybe?
Is he
something
quit
like
this squad?
Apparently, he's rapid across the ground. So that is something that we would desperately need. And obviously, you would need no time bedding into the Premier League. His discipline as a centre-back is pretty good. He's quite shy getting the yellow cards and stuff like that. He looks like a bit of a beanpole. There's not much meat on him, but his game can be quite strong but aggressive when he needs to be, but it's controlled aggression, which is, again, what you'd want from his centre-back. So see how that one pans out. Again, there could be absolutely nothing in that one. We will see. It could all be smoke and mirrors, as mentioned before. But watch your space. I do think that one may actually have some legs to it, but that's nothing but guesswork.
What was the... do you remember seeing a fee for that?
I don't actually. If there was one there, I don't remember, but I'd imagine it would be in the some tens of millions, as pretty much everything is these days. I don't even know how long he's got left on his contract either.
We're not talking 40 or 50, are we?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean,
Surely
I've
not.
just literally got on Transfer Market. Yeah, to be honest, I never used them as valuation, but they've got him down for 32 million euros, and he's got 2 years left on his contract. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, right. Let me have a look here.
But yeah, keep an eye on that one. But that's pretty much it in terms of the names linked as of late. Again, Pedro just being the one that keeps cropping up, and Van Hecke, the new name in there. Be interesting to see if we can get a double rate on Brighton for that one. But moving on to the outs now. These two, Mark put these two as our untouchables when we done like a mini squad review. And Jack was talking on Twitter earlier on about players who, again, are untouchable. And these two names, Anthony Gordon and Joelinton. We'll start off with Gordon. He's been linked with Liverpool again. Do you think, again, this is just media trying to unsettle a player? Do you think there could be some truth in this one this time?
No, absolutely not. I don't think it'd have to take an absolutely mind-boggling offer for them to sell one of the untouchables. Now, everyone's got a price, so let's put that out there. But look, we're talking 100 plus. If anyone wants to, so I think Isaac, Gordon, probably nearly Tonali and Bruno would be 100 or close to in today's market. Yep. I think Tino, Hall, and Bruno would be 80 in today's market as well. But look, they're not untouchable. They're just probably unattainable is probably the better word to put it.
Good choice, right?
Yep. Because who in their right mind is going to spend that money? Yeah.
And the 100 million, and I'm basing that figure on Jack Grealish going to Man City a good few seasons ago from Villa. I don't think he had a release clause. I think it was like a gentleman's agreement type thing where he could go to a Champions League club if that was the fee that was to be paid.
If the valuation was met, yeah.
Yes, yeah. If say, for example, Liverpool were to come in and say, okay, we want to do exactly the same thing. We want to take Anthony Gordon off your hands for £100 million. You're Eddie Howe, and you basically get the yes or no say on this one. What are you saying?
I think you have to say yes, because
you take it. Okay.
For £100 million, I think you have to. Like, already we've got Harvey Barnes who can play in that position.
Yes.
Probably not quite at Gordon's level, but still a very good player in his own right. That £100 million can be like squad transformational. I don't know if transformational is a word, but we'll go with it anyway. It changes everything, and I think that's kind of what they thought maybe was going to happen with Bruno last year with the PSR stuff. So yeah, if anyone's, apart from Isak, if anyone's offering $100 million for one of our players, I think we have to take it, and the ability to reinvest it will be game changing for us. Now, you never want to lose your best players, obviously, but at the same time, you kind of got to be ahead of the game, and that's the world we live in at the moment. That we have to do this sort of stuff. We don't have to do it, but if something come up, we'd have to seriously entertain it.
Yeah, it would be more than double what we paid for Gordon. Yeah. If that was to be the fee, we paid, I think it was 40 million plus 5 in bonuses.
Yeah.
And that 40 million was paid in one lump sum, I remember, if I remember rightly, due to the term that Everton wanted to get him that January because he came in the winter window.
Was that on the doco?
It was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was.
So you had Mandy on the phone to
they're in the car and stuff.
Yeah, and said they wanted the 40 million up front plus 5 million in bonuses. Whether those bonuses have been paid in full or what, we don't know. But that 40 million is now no longer or shouldn't be a PSR issue anymore because it's coming up it should be gone. So that'd be a good thing. But yeah, £100 million for Anthony Gordon. I think I'm with you on that one, that we do take it if stupid money comes in. It can be reinvested big time, and there are positions we need to reinvest in, as we've already talked about. That left side of midfield is pretty much well covered. Harvey Barnes being the number one, but he's another one that could even go this summer. He's not part of the untouchables as far as Mark and Jack are on about. Yeah, the other name we're going to get to now, and this is the one that just absolutely blew me away when said that PIF clubs over in Saudi Arabia are wanting to buy Joelinton. Now, this one actually made me laugh a little because Joelinton, as far as I'm concerned, is more untouchable than Anthony Gordon is in terms of the squad. His valuation might be less, but in terms of his role in that team, he's a lot more important, as we've seen towards the back end of the season, is what Anthony Gordon was when he was missing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not, sometimes it's not the player, it's the player that replaces him that you really notice a difference. So this year especially, I think we can all concede that Anthony Gordon struggled a fair bit compared to the season before. And when he was out of the side, Harvey Barnes was a really good replacement for him. And given his form, you didn't really know that much difference between the two. When Joelinton didn't play and Willock filled in, and then I think they sort of changed the formation to have Bruno and Tonali, 2 in the midfield. Sometimes there was 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, and it was a shit show. It worked okay for was it the Chelsea game maybe? No, it wasn't Chelsea game because they were pretty ordinary in that. It worked okay for one game, and they still kind of persisted doing it. And like that last game against Everton was an absolute disaster. And they changed it 2 or 3 times trying to sort of get something to work, and it never worked. So that, I think that was due to them not believing in Willock and his ability to sort of produce what Joelinton can produce, or even get close to that, because they had to change the whole system because they couldn't sort that left-sided midfielder out. Now, hopefully he's going to be right for pre-season, gets a good pre-season. I still think, there's rumours around potentially Willock and Longstaff moving on. I still think we need to really look at strengthening that midfield position and create not even competition, but there's going to be plenty of fixtures this season, and we're going to need a lot of good players to play a lot of games for us. So, yeah, that's one to watch as well. And, who we might get, maybe 30 million for Longstaff and Willock combined, which would be pretty good money that we can reinvest the squad into better players too. And I think if the coaches think that Lewis Miley's as good as what they think he's going to be, then we might only need 2 midfielders then.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, this has to be the season where Miley gets as much game time as what he did in his breakthrough season. Because otherwise he's kind of been, I'm not going to say wasted, because the players in front of him are better in terms of their overall quality and output, but he needs game time to progress. And he got very little last season, but we kind of know why, because games we didn't really finish him off, so we couldn't really give him that bit on there. And Tonali, Bruno, and Joelinton, when they were on form together, they were just probably the best midfield trio in the Premier League at some point.
Oh, easily. No, not at some point, like comfortably the best 3 midfielders in the Premier League. Well, we had the best we probably nearly had the best front 6 at times in Europe.
I agree with that, actually. Yeah.
Like, it was crazy the things that we were doing to teams. And then sort of Isak kind of got hurt. Gordon was out of form. So we kind of lost the front 6. But the midfield 3 were clearly the best midfield in the Premier League. And it wasn't even close.
Yeah, there you go. It's to be honest, I would actually agree with you on that one. They're definitely up there with the best, if not the best. Maybe you've got the Liverpool midfield, but as we showed in the League Cup final, we literally ran them ragged.
So if they're number 2, we destroyed them in the League Cup final. Our midfield did.
We did. We absolutely did on that one. Still baffles me the fact that we won something. But
I watched the highlights again. Actually, couldn't help me.
I had it on the radio in the car. Just listening, and just watching all through, and I was absolutely superb listening again. But that's pretty much going to see us through for this episode. Now, is there anything you want to tag on, Keegan?
No, not yet, mate. I think, like I said earlier, to watch this space with the new CEO and the stadium plans and things like that. I'm a firm new stadium person. I think to progress as a team and the region as well. Pardon me. I think we need a new stadium and a nice multi-purpose facility that it can be used for other things, like kind of like the Spurs Stadium, really, of the North. And PIF, the key word of the PIF is investment. So if they build a new stadium, they're going to want some return on it, and they don't want it just to be used for 20, 25 games of soccer a year. So they're going to need a multi-purpose facility so they can have plenty of it. Like, can you imagine Fender in front of 80,000 and 3 nights in this new stadium? Like, and with the current technology, I'm sure the acoustics would be incredible in there. The noise and the atmosphere would be like an absolute cauldron at times. So this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that we're going to get to build a new stadium with our owners and stuff like that. And we just have to do it. So yeah, hopefully things sort of progress. I think the next 2 weeks are going to be really interesting for the transfers as well.
Yeah.
I don't think really any of us knew how dire the situation was until around this time last year, like a week, 2 weeks before the financial year, of how dire things were and how much we needed to sell. So we're kind of getting to that time now. So we'll find out pretty quick which clubs think they're getting a bit twitchy and they might need to sell to comply. But it was funny at the time because everyone was dead against it, and some people said, no, let's keep them and just take the points deduction and stuff like that now. But the club made the right move, didn't they? Like,
absolutely.
They sold him. We didn't take the points deduction. We qualified for the Champions League. So it was the right thing to do. And they probably, do you know what? They'll probably make their money back from that stuff, even the Vlachodimos stuff that we kind of had to wiggle around. They'll make that through Champions League games and stuff this year as well. So they'll probably come out net in front and not have to give up 10 points for it.
Which will be absolutely superb because, losing those two. Well, Minter, again, he was a bit of unknown at the time. Yes, he done well over in the Dutch league, but he's never going to know how he's going to transform. Anderson, being a local lad, is obviously sorry to see him go. But to be honest, it was probably the best thing for his career as well, because he was never.
He wouldn't. There's no way he would have played like he did this year.
Nah, definitely not. So all good away, Anderson. Pleased to see him doing well at Forest. It's always nice to see local lads doing that. But yeah, we will leave it there. Let us know down below in the comments what you think of Pedro and Van Hecke. And also, would you accept 100 million for Anthony Gordon? And what you think the move for Joelinton to Saudi Arabia, which, to be honest, is a non-starter. But if it does happen, would you be sorry to see him go? Let us know in the comments. And if you don't already, please subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and follow us on all the social media platforms. You can click the links in the video description below. Thanks, Keegan. I will see you on the next one, mate.
See you, mate. See you, everyone.
Cheers, mate.